They pulled away thinking your love would come running after them. But your silence did something they were not prepared for. It made them panic. Welcome back to Astral Card Vault. This is a love tarot reading for those of you dealing with distance, no contact, sudden coldness, or someone who made you feel like one day you were everything, and the next day, you were standing outside a locked door with no explanation. And the card you brought in today is speaking very clearly. This first card is guidance. I'm seeing this image of a woman leading a child forward, and the energy feels very tender, not forceful, not rushed, not loud. This is the kind of card that says, you are being guided through something you cannot fully see yet. And that matters, because for some of you, when this person pulled away, it felt like you were left alone in emotional fog. You may have wondered, what did I miss? What did I do wrong? Why did their energy change so suddenly? But Spirit is showing me that even in that confusion, you were not abandoned. There was guidance around you. Soft guidance, quiet guidance, the kind that does not always shout answers, but gently moves you away from chasing what is hurting you. This card is not giving me the end. It is giving me protection. It is giving me a hand on your shoulder. It is giving me the feeling of being led out of uncertainty. Not because your heart stopped caring, but because your soul knew it was time to stop walking blindly towards someone who kept stepping back. And this is where the energy shifts. They expected you to reach. They expected long messages. They expected you to explain your pain, ask what changed, prove your loyalty, maybe even chase after the version of them that used to be softer with you. But Spirit is showing me that you did something different. You went quiet. Not because you stopped caring overnight, not because your heart turned into stone. No, your silence came from exhaustion. It came from that final inner moment where you realized, I cannot keep begging someone to treat me like I matter. And that silence unsettled them. What I'm picking up is very specific. This person may have delayed replies, acted distracted, watched your stories without saying anything, posted something vague, or created emotional distance to see if you would react. For some of you, this was intentional. For others, it was a defense mechanism wrapped in pride. Either way, the result is the same. They tested your love, but they accidentally awakened your self-respect. And now they are wondering why the room feels colder without your energy in it. If this is already sounding like your situation, comment I choose myself below. And please like this reading because it helps this message reach the person sitting in silence right now, wondering if they were the only one who felt this deeply. Because no, beloved, you are not the only one. They are feeling it too. And as this guidance card leads us deeper into the reading, Spirit is showing me that your silence was not empty. It was guided. It was protective. And the next card begins to reveal what they have been hiding behind all of their silence. The card coming through now is the King of Cups. This is interesting because the King of Cups can look calm on the outside, seated, controlled, emotionally composed, almost impossible to read. But underneath that throne, the water is moving. And that is exactly what I'm seeing with this person. They are trying very hard to look unaffected. They may be telling themselves, I'm fine, I needed space, this is better, I'm in control. But Spirit is showing me that their silence is not peace. It is not closure. And it is definitely not indifference. It is a mask. This person is sitting in their feelings, but they do not want you to know how much those feelings are rising. They are watching without wanting to be seen watching. They are checking your energy quietly. Maybe they look at your profile, your stories, your posts, your activity, your last seen, anything that gives them the tiniest clue about where your heart is. And this is the part they are not admitting. They thought your silence would feel like victory. Instead, it feels like losing access. Because before, even when things were confusing, they still felt your emotional presence. They still felt that invisible thread. They knew you cared. They knew you were waiting for clarity. They knew if they pulled back, your heart would still be close enough for them to sense it. But now they are not so sure. And that uncertainty is bothering them more than they expected. I'm picking up someone replaying conversations, not just the big moments, but the small ones. The way you used to answer them. The way you cared when they were tired. The way you noticed little changes in their mood. The way you made them feel emotionally safe, even if they were too guarded to say it. The King of Cups here tells me this person has emotions, but they have trained themselves to manage those emotions through silence instead of honesty. So when they miss you, they do not always reach out. When they feel regret, they may become colder. When they want reassurance, they may act distant. And that has been part of the problem. They pulled away expecting you to prove your love, but your silence forced them to question their power in this connection. Now they're wondering, did I push too far? And once that question starts rising under the surface, Spirit brings us to the next layer, because this was not just about silence. This was about why they felt the need to test a connection that already had feeling in it. The next card is the Two of Cups. Now this is important, because this card does not feel like a casual connection. This does not feel like someone who is just passing through your energy with no emotional impact. This feels mutual. Two cups, two people, two hearts that recognize something in each other. But what I'm seeing here is that one person knew the connection was real, and instead of stepping closer with honesty, they stepped back to see if you would reach harder. They wanted reassurance, but they did not know how to ask for it in a healthy way. So instead of saying, "I'm scared you don't feel the same," they became distant. Instead of saying, "I need to know I matter to you," they delayed their replies. Instead of saying, "I'm afraid of being vulnerable," they acted cold, distracted, mysterious, or suddenly unavailable. And for some of you, yes, this person knew exactly what they were doing. They pulled their energy back on purpose. They wanted to see if your energy would panic. They wanted to see if you would chase the cup they were holding away from you. But for others, Spirit is showing me something more unconscious. This was not a plan written out in their mind. This was a wound reacting before their heart could speak. Because this person may have learned somewhere along the way that love has to be tested before it can be trusted. And that is painful. But it is still not your responsibility to pass emotional exams you never agreed to take. What I'm picking up is someone who may have gone quiet, posted something just to get your attention, acted like they were fine, flirted or entertained attention elsewhere, became vague about their feelings, or created just enough uncertainty to make you wonder where you stood. And they thought that would pull you closer. But it pushed you back into yourself. That is the part they did not calculate. If you have stopped chasing someone who confused you, comment "I choose myself" below, because that sentence carries power. It says, "I can love you and still not abandon me." The Two of Cups here tells me the feeling was shared, but the emotional maturity was not equal. They wanted proof of your love. But your silence exposed their fear of being abandoned. And now that fear is echoing back at them because the next card shows what they are afraid has changed inside of you. Now we have the Five of Swords. This is the card of walking away from a conflict that did not need to become a war. And that is exactly what I'm seeing in your energy. You may still miss them. Let's be honest about that. There may still be nights where your mind drifts back to their name, their voice, the way things felt before the distance came in. There may still be a part of you that wonders, was any of it real, or how did we get from so close to so silent? But something inside you has changed. You are not standing in the same place anymore. The Five of Swords shows someone holding the swords while others walk away. And what Spirit is showing me here is that this person may have thought they won because they created distance first. They may have thought, "I'll pull back. I'll make them wonder. I'll see how much they care." But they did not understand that sometimes the person who walks away from the game is the one who actually takes their power back. You stopped fighting for a place in someone's life that they were making uncertain, and that scares them. Because your energy is not as available as it used to be. You may still care, but you are not reaching with the same urgency. You may still feel tenderness, but you are no longer pouring your entire nervous system into trying to decode their behavior. I'm seeing someone focusing more on themselves now. Work, healing, friends, prayer, quiet mornings, better boundaries, maybe even going out more, posting less from pain, or simply learning how peaceful it feels when your phone is not controlling your mood. And this is where the energy shifts. Your silence is not coldness. It is self-respect. It is you saying, "I am not going to keep bleeding emotionally just to prove I have a heart." And they can feel that. They can feel that you are becoming less predictable, less easy to pull back in with one small message, less willing to accept confusion as a form of connection. Now they are wondering who has your attention. They are wondering if someone else is making you smile, if someone else is hearing the thoughts you used to share with them, if someone else is standing where they assumed they would always have access. And that uncertainty is pulling them inward now, not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. The next card shows what happens inside their mind when they check your energy and cannot find the same certainty they used to rely on. The next card is the Hermit. So this is not someone moving loudly. This is not someone announcing their regret. This is someone sitting with a lantern in the dark, trying to understand why your absence feels so much heavier than they expected. The energy feels withdrawn but not empty. I'm seeing them checking your energy in quiet ways, not necessarily reaching out, not necessarily saying anything, but looking, searching, trying to find proof that you still care, while also being terrified they might find proof that you do not anymore. And that is where the spiral begins. They wonder, did they move on? They wonder, are they talking to someone else? They wonder, are they happier without me? And the question that keeps coming back, the one they do not want to sit with too long, is, did my silence teach them how to live without me? That one hits them differently, because they wanted space. But now space feels like punishment. They wanted to feel powerful by pulling away. But the Hermit is showing me that the distance has turned into a mirror. And in that mirror, they are seeing the way they handled you. The coldness, the mixed signals, the moments where they could have been honest but chose pride. The times they made you feel like asking for clarity was asking for too much. Spirit keeps highlighting old messages. They may reread something you sent, a message where you were soft, a message where you were patient, a message where you tried one more time to understand them instead of judging them. And now, with your silence around it, that message feels different. It feels like evidence. Evidence that you cared. Evidence that you tried. Evidence that maybe they were the one who made the connection unsafe. And this is the part they are not admitting. They are not only missing you, they are missing who they got to be when you loved them. Because your love gave them a version of themselves that felt seen, wanted, accepted, maybe even forgiven before they knew how to forgive themselves. And when they pulled away, they thought they were only creating distance from you. But they also created distance from the warmth they felt inside themselves when you were close. Now they are sitting with that, quietly, privately, trying to act like the lantern in their hand is control, when really, it is searching. And once someone starts searching like that, pride usually tries to take over. It tries to make the heart sound logical. It tries to turn regret into silence. And the next card shows what they want to say, but still cannot bring themselves to speak. Now the King of Swords steps forward. This is a very different energy from the King of Cups we saw earlier. Because the King of Cups feels deeply and hides it under emotional control, but the King of Swords hides behind logic, behind distance, behind the need to sound calm, sharp, reasonable, even when the heart is not calm at all. And this is exactly what I'm seeing. This person wants to say, I miss you. But what comes out instead is silence. They want to say, I regret how cold I became. But pride tells them, don't admit that first. They want to say, I did not think you would actually stop reaching for me. But ego is sitting on the throne, holding the sword, trying to cut the feeling before the feeling can speak. And this is the part they are not admitting. They are scared they damaged something sacred. They are scared that what once felt warm, natural, and open now feels guarded because of what they did. They can feel that your energy has changed, not because you hate them, not because you stopped caring completely, but because something inside you became more careful, and they know why. I'm picking up shame here. Quiet shame. The kind they may not confess out loud. The kind that makes someone type a message, stare at it, delete it, lock the phone, and act like they never cared enough to write it in the first place. Because reaching out would require them to admit that pulling away did not give them peace. It gave them regret. But beloved, I also want to say this very clearly. Someone can have real feelings and still not be ready to love you properly. Someone can miss you and still avoid accountability. Someone can be sorry in their heart and still not know how to show up with maturity. And love without accountability can still hurt. So do not make yourself responsible for translating their silence into an apology they have not spoken yet. If this reading is speaking to your situation, please like the video and subscribe to Astral Card Vault, because there are so many people in no-contact confusion who need to hear that their silence is not weakness. It may be the first boundary they ever held. The King of Swords tells me communication energy is building. But communication is not always confession right away. Sometimes it arrives wearing a casual face. So before you answer anything, the next card shows what kind of message may come and what that message may be hiding. The Ace of Wands is coming through now. So yes, there is movement here. This is not frozen energy. This is not a door that has completely turned to stone. The Ace of Wands shows a hand reaching out, but notice something important. It is holding potential. Not a full apology. Not a full conversation. Not a complete promise. Potential. And that is what I'm seeing with this person's communication. They may come in with something small first, a reaction to your story, a simple hey, a message that feels casual on the surface, but carries much more underneath. For some of you, it could be late at night, when their pride is tired and their feelings get louder. For others, it may come after they see you looking peaceful, attractive, busy, or simply less available than before. I'm picking up test the waters energy. They may not start with, I'm sorry I hurt you. They may start with, how have you been? They may not say, I miss you. They may say, I was just thinking about you. And this is where you need to listen with your spirit, not just your heart. Because the first message may not reveal the whole truth. The Ace of Wands can be a spark, but a spark is not the same thing as a steady fire. This person may feel drawn back to you. They may feel regret. They may feel desire, curiosity, longing, even panic. But you need to watch what happens after the spark. Do they become consistent? Do they take accountability? Do they explain the distance without blaming you for reacting to it? Do they show emotional honesty? Or do they come back only to see if the door is still unlocked? Spirit is showing me possible timing around the number 3. 3 days for some of you. 3 weeks for others. Or after one more self-worth lesson where you choose peace even though your heart still remembers them. And please hear me. You do not have to punish them. But you also do not have to reward confusion with instant access. This message, if it comes, may carry regret hidden inside casual words. It may be their way of reaching without fully kneeling to the truth yet. And that is why the next card matters so much, because Spirit wants to show you the deeper lesson you must understand before you respond. The Magician is the card coming through now. This is powerful because the Magician is about choice, intention, what someone does with what is in front of them. And Spirit is showing me that this is the lesson now. You are no longer just waiting to see what they do. You are also watching what you choose. Because when someone returns after creating confusion, it can be tempting to hear one emotional sentence and forget the whole pattern. It can be tempting to confuse longing with readiness, chemistry with commitment, a message with maturity, an apology with transformation. But they are not the same thing. And this is where your discernment matters. The Magician has all the tools on the table, the cup, the sword, the wand, the pentacle. And what I'm seeing here is that you have tools now too. You have your intuition. You have your memory. You have your boundaries. You have the truth of how their actions made you feel. Do not put those tools down just because they finally pick up the phone. If this person comes back, you do not have to punish them. You do not have to be cold. You do not have to pretend you are unaffected if you are not. But you also do not have to abandon yourself just to make the connection feel warm again. What I'm picking up is that Spirit wants you to look for behavior, not just emotion. Do they communicate steadily? Do they take responsibility without turning it back on you? Do they respect the boundary your silence created? Do they show patience if you are not ready to open fully? Do they come back with honesty, or do they come back wanting instant comfort from the person they made feel unsafe? Because that matters. This connection taught both of you something. It taught them that they cannot control love through distance. They cannot pull away, create fear, and expect your heart to stay waiting in the exact same place. And it taught you something too. It taught you that you can survive the absence of someone you wanted deeply. Maybe you did not want to learn that lesson this way. Maybe you would have chosen tenderness instead of confusion, but here you are, still standing. Softer in some places, stronger in others, and much more aware of what your peace costs. The magician tells me you are not powerless here. And when you remember that, the whole reading reaches its turning point. The next card shows the exact realization that is finally hitting them now. The Queen of Swords comes through for this realization. This is the moment they realize your softness was never weakness. Because the Queen of Swords has loved, she has felt deeply. She has been disappointed. She has been misunderstood. But when she sits on that throne, she is not begging anyone to understand her value anymore. She knows. And that is what is hitting this person now. They thought you would always be available, always understanding, always ready to explain your feelings one more time, always willing to soften the silence, always willing to forgive the coldness because you knew there was something deeper underneath it. And for a while, maybe you did. Maybe you gave them chance after chance because you saw their wounds, you saw their fear, you saw the part of them that wanted love but did not know how to hold it without shaking. You tried to be patient with their confusion. But this is where the energy shifts. Your patience had a limit, and your silence showed them exactly where that limit was. The Queen of Swords is not here because you stopped caring. She is here because you stopped negotiating with confusion. She is here because something inside you finally said, I can understand your pain without letting it become my punishment. And now they are feeling the consequence of that. The fear they created in you is now living inside them. They made you wonder where you stood. Now they are wondering if they still have a place. They made you question if you mattered. Now they are questioning if they waited too long to show that you did. They made distance feel like a test. Now distance feels like a verdict they were not ready to hear. I'm picking up regret around timing. Someone is asking themselves, did I push too hard? Did I stay quiet too long? Did I break something that used to trust me? And that last question is heavy. Because they are realizing the connection was not something they could toy with and keep untouched. Love is sensitive. Trust is sensitive. A heart can be patient, but it still remembers where it had to protect itself. This is not about revenge. This is about awakening. They are waking up to the fact that your presence was a gift, not a guarantee. And now, with that realization sitting heavily in the room, the final card shows what you are meant to choose, whether this person returns or not. The final card is the King of Wands. This is a card of confidence, action, maturity, and knowing what you are choosing instead of letting fear choose for you. And that is the final message here. You are not being asked to sit by the phone and wait for someone to decide whether they value you. You are being asked to return to your own fire. Because this whole reading began with someone pulling away to test your love. They wanted to know if you would chase. They wanted to know if their silence could make you nervous enough to prove yourself again. But what happened instead? Your silence revealed your self-respect, and now they are facing the consequence of emotional immaturity. The King of Wands is showing me that the next chapter cannot be built on fear. Not their fear of vulnerability. Not your fear of losing them. Not the old pattern where one person disappears and the other person carries the emotional weight for both. That cycle cannot come with you. Some people sabotage love because they do not know how to receive healthy love. When something feels calm, they create distance. When something feels real, they test it. When someone loves them sincerely, they start looking for proof that it will hurt later. And yes, that may explain them. But it does not excuse what it did to you. You are not responsible for repairing someone who refuses to grow. You are not responsible for turning their fear into emotional safety while they keep turning your love into uncertainty. If they return, let them return correctly. With honesty, with accountability, with consistency, with action. No breadcrumbs. No hot and cold behavior. No vague messages that pull your heart open and then leave you guessing again. No more tests dressed up as distance. Because the love meant for you will not require you to abandon yourself just to keep it alive. What I'm seeing now is you choosing peace over potential. Not because potential means nothing, but because peace means more. And that is powerful. If this reading spoke to your situation, Comment "I choose peace" below. Let that be your anchor. Let that be the sentence your heart remembers when the silence feels loud. And please like this video, subscribe to Astral Card Vault, and turn on notifications for future love readings, because the right message always has a way of finding the right soul at the right moment. Beloved, real love may challenge you, but it will never ask you to disappear from yourself in order to be chosen.